Hi everyone, happy Friday. Welcome back to Music Talk 101. My name is Jeff Benton. I am an independent artist with over 50 songs out on streaming services. I have been doing this since 2016, and I created Music Talk 101 as a help to everyone out there who is doing the same thing as an independent artist wanting to become a success in this new music industry. So today's topic will be, I'm going to talk about how to know when your song is ready to be uploaded. And the best way to do that is for me to go through my process. And after 50 songs, I finally realized that you do need to have some kind of a checklist. And what I mean by that is there's always going to be some error. It could be small or it could be big, that you will find even sometimes after you've released your song. So by having a checklist, and you can literally do it with a pen and paper, or you can get on your computer, pull up Pages on your Apple computer and just make a list of the things that you need to be looking for. And we'll go over that here in a minute. But the first thing I want to say is it's a process of elimination, and you have to go through because from the time you start recording your song to doing the mixing and mastering and getting ready to release it, there is a lot to go through. So first of all, let's kind of start with the basics, and that is, first of all, you want to have your song recorded, and you want to go through and make sure every track has proper volumes, and you want to make sure that your master track is not too loud. So with me, I use GarageBand, and I've been using that ever since I started. And I love using GarageBand because, I'm an Apple user. I have a MacBook Pro, and that's how I record. And I highly suggest, that you guys do that if you have a Mac. GarageBand is a good app and software. And it's a great software to use for beginners as well. So what you want to do is make sure every track that you've recorded has the same volume, and you can hear all the instruments. Unless you want to adjust the volumes to have one louder than the other, of course, you want something to stand out or to be in the background. Sometimes with like orchestration tracks, I try to make it not as loud but you can hear it in the background. Or what you want to do is pan right or left on your volume to have kind of that effect, around you, like almost like a 3D effect. I use that a lot in my songs. So you want to, after you lay down your tracks and you have all your music recorded, the first process, of course, like I said, is make sure your volumes are all appropriate. And once you've done that and you get a good feel for it, the number one thing for me, here's what I do. You can go to your share and email that your song to your email address, and then you can click on it, or you can do a AirDrop. And then what I do in my process is I do a lot of listening. So I'll get the song sounding good, and I'll email it or AirDrop it to my phone, and then I'll either put in my earbuds, or go into my car and use my USB port and plug it through my sound system. That way I can get a really good feel for the sound, the overall sound of it. So that way you can really use your ears and start to assess whether or not, I go through this every time. I'll get a good mix on my computer, and then I'll go to my car or put in my earbuds. And, you don't have to have expensive ones. I actually have JLab $30 earbuds. I keep saying AirPods. I'm trying to say both. So earbuds is, you don't really need to have the $200 AirPods, just a $30 pair of earbuds. The JLabs are really good. You can get those at Walmart, like I said, $30. And then I use my car stereo as well as another indicator. So if you are to get your song, finished and mix it down as best you can, I highly recommend the number one step is to email it or AirDrop it to your phone, and then go to your car, plug it in with the USB port, hear it through your audio system, or go through your earbuds or AirPods and test the volumes there. So you're going to notice right away after you listen a few times whether the guitar is too loud, or the bass is too loud, or the bass is too bassy, or the guitar has too of a high pitched sound. You want to go through all those parameters. I'm going back and adjusting and changing things constantly. And I know this sounds obsessive, but I actually probably listen to my song well over 100 times before I release it, because I'm constantly tweaking it. There's usually about a week of just listening and changing things, listening and changing things. And by the time you get to the day that you're ready to upload it, you should have already found all those hidden little mistakes and whatnot. But on your checklist, you need to have that as number one, and that is to share it to your phone so that you can go listen on another device or through your earbuds or AirPods or in your car. So with that being said, that's the number one thing to making sure your song is ready. The second part is this has to do with your lyrics, or if you have lyrics in your song, there's most likely going to be a mistake made at some point, and you need to be prepared. So number 2 on your list should be to proofread your lyrics and re-listen over and over again to make sure that you did not make a grammatical mistake or some mistake with numbers. I had this happen to me on my first book of Enoch, where Enoch lived to be 365 years old, but I made the mistake of saying days. So that was a huge mistake, but 1 RPM allowed me to re-upload a new copy where I was able to record the part where I said 365 days he lived on the earth. So big mistakes can be made if you're not prepared. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm getting to the point now where this is what I'm going to be doing. I kind of always just, went with emotions and felt like, oh, I'm going to use my ears to listen. But if you don't have a checklist to follow up with it, you may miss something. And I don't want that to happen to you guys, because not only is it frustrating when you released a song and you find a mistake, it's already out there on over 30 streaming services, and then you realize that you've made a mistake. This is a very important thing. So number 1, listen to your music on multiple devices, hear it on different kinds of headphones, listen to it in your car. Make sure you buy a good monitoring headset as well. I just bought one by Fifine, is how you say it. And I believe it was only like $32. You can get them on Amazon. And if you follow me on X, there's actually links on there to the headphones to buy them on Amazon. So with that being said, so you go through your listening process, that is listening on multiple devices, trying it in your car, headphones, whatnot. And then second thing is proofreading your lyrics. Make sure all of that is where you need it to be. Go back over and over on your verses, your chorus. Was you flat? Was you too high on your lyrics? Try to catch every little error that you can. And it is a painstaking process, but I promise you, you will be happy with the results by keeping a checklist. Because if you don't do this, you're not going to be happy with your work. At the end of the day, you want it to be as perfect as you can, right? Nobody's absolutely perfect in any industry. And the music industry is hard enough, but you have to try to be as close to perfect as you can. I have some really good songs out that I'm proud of, but there's still times where I catch a little mistake. I go back and I'm like, oh, I was a little bit flat or a little bit too high on that note, or I catch little errors that I could have easily deleted on GarageBand. And one of those things are, if you're a guitar player, is that if you're using GarageBand, let's say you lay down a guitar track and you're playing a solo. At the end of that solo, you might get a little distortion or something by ending that last note. For an example, is that you can actually slice that off, so that even if it's a tiny little bit of that, you can just back it up, slice it off, and then when it goes into the next portion, you would not hear that little buzz or feedback that comes from that. So like I said, that's just a little mistake that you can make by not paying attention. So adding that to your checklist is just to check every little thing, every measure in your song, to make sure that at the end and even during, like especially with vocals, you can actually isolate the track and listen. If you hear anything picked up in your mic, that wasn't supposed to be there, or you're breathing funny, or let's say you made a noise, like at my workstation, like, sometimes I lean on the table, and I've even picked up the noise of like little crackle from the table, because the mic will pick up everything. So you can go in there and splice your measure, go in there and say cut and splice, and then you can cut out that whole portion. So that's one of the things I like about GarageBand. It's really easy to use. But so those three things are vital right there in listening, making sure that there's no errors, and just being, really honest with yourself and saying, does this sound good enough to release? So that's why I'm making this video today. I feel like it's very, very important. And your checklist may be different than mine, and I encourage you to make your own checklist. But really, those three things that I just pointed out are very, very crucial, because you don't want to release something that, you believe it's ready, but then it gets out there and then you find all the mistakes afterwards. So it's better to be good the first time around, for it to be good, than to wait and then have an error and feel terrible about it. So, that's really all I wanted to talk about today, is just have a checklist and be honest with yourself. Go back, listen over and over again. And when I mean 100 times, I swear that's even being a little understating there, because I've probably listened more than 100 times. Because what I do, I work nights, and I'll put my earphones in at work. And, I listen to other things, podcasts or whatever, but I'll go and listen to my own music. And especially when I'm working on a song and I'm trying to get it ready to be released, I might listen to it at least 10 times a night. So you add that up in one week, you listen to it, that's 70 times right there. So, and it could be more, just depending on how much you have to work on it, So just be a little bit obsessive with your music, in order to get it out there and have it as perfect as you want it. It's going to take a lot of those little details to work out all the bugs. And thank you guys so much. And I will be releasing a new song soon, The Book of Enoch Part 2, The Watcher's Demise will be the name of that. I am getting very close to finishing the song. It's going to be very, very good. And the Book of Enoch Part 1, Fallen Angels and Giants, is actually my #1 song on streaming services right now. Through 1 RPM on my chart, it's #1. So I'm very excited, because I know, this has been a big deal for me, because I moved from secular music in 2016 to basically now I'm only doing Christian and spiritual music. And to have my songs, the songs that I'm working on that mean a lot to me, to be like #1, and most of all of my Christian songs are hitting the top 10 now. I feel really good about what God is doing for me in this time, and I feel really blessed. And I'll let you guys know as soon as I know the release date. I will be letting you guys know. I'll probably make a separate video about that. But I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday, and thank you so much for watching. And I hope everyone has a blessed day. Thank you so much.